Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. We're going to go over Behemoths today. I'm going to try and cover all the tips for each of the Behemoths through Season 1 and Season 1 Plus and give you a little bit of gameplay footage inside of each of those tips. So strap on and come with me, MrSneakyy, for today's video for Call of Dragons. So yes, we're going to be covering all the Behemoths, like I said in the intro. So smash a like, comment and subscribe to the channel for more daily Call of Dragons content. So today we're going to go over everything that you're going to need to know with Behemoths. I'm going to try and explain it as best as I can and obviously timestamp it like you guys love and enjoy. So with all that said, let's get into the video. So the way Behemoths work and what the whole premise of a Behemoth is just a PvE event, raid style event that you and your alliance members participate in. And when you clear the raid, you're going to get some rewards as well as the ability to summon them as a PvP weapon, which is a really cool thing with Call of Dragons. So each of the different Behemoths have their own stats. You can find these in the Alliance section by just hitting the Behemoths tab right here, and this will show you all of your Behemoths as well as, like I said, the stats that are there, as well as even when you're on the Magma demon, you can click on each of these different tabs and it shows you each of the abilities for the Magma demon. So it's a really cool little aspect of it. The notice thing that you'll major see is like the level 1, right? So we have a level 1 Magma demon here, and for the Hydra it's level 1, and in order to increase that level to a level 2 Behemoth, you have to complete the elite raid. So the elite raid is always going to be available to your alliance once you complete the raid for the first time. Once you clear it and purify that Behemoth, the timing of that purify, add 4 hours to it, and that will be when you can do your elite raid. So for example, if you was going to go, and we'll zoom out to the map so we can showcase where some of these locations are when you're on the Season 1 Plus map. But when you're in like the Behemoth here for the giant bear and you killed it and we cleared it on a certain time, so if we go down here and you can see the damage rankings on this timer, if it was, for example, at 10 UTC, if you added 4 hours onto that, that would be then at 12 or 1400 UTC, which is 2 in the evening, right? So if you killed it in 10 o'clock in the morning, and that was when you purified it, add 4 hours on, and that's when you're going to be able to then trigger your elite raid. So that's a very important timing, because if you're trying to get that elite raid frame for being the first alliance to occupy the elite raid and clear it within the time limit, you're going to be able to obviously have that advantage. So it's a very key thing to know and try and keep together if you're part of the management team or the officers of your alliance. It's kind of a nitty-gritty detail for you guys. But when we go into here, the elite raids is what we are going into, right? So we've talked about how Behemoths are and what the general use are and the stats and, you know, how to buff them, right? But the elite raids are basically a harder version of a normal raid, and these raids are going to be able to have harder difficulties on them by putting these extra debuffs on your marchers as well as on the arena to make it more difficult. Each of these different Behemoths have their own different elite raid buffs, but when you go down even further, they get a little bit harder. We're going to rank these in a different video as well, for like the tier list on the difficulties on the elite raids as going down to the normal raids. But each of these elite raids, as you can see, have their own different type of style debuff. And if you notice, because we've not fought the Necrogiant yet and we've not unlocked it, we aren't unable to see or look at this detailing for now, right? But again, you can still click on the chest, and the chest will tell you all the timings here. So if we go from the Direbear, we'll work from the Giant Bear across, you can see all the elite raid timings now. So if you're going for that frame, you need to be the first alliance to complete the raid within 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Really easy to do in the first one. And on the giant, it is the 6 minutes and 30 second timer. And then you unlock the cool Giant Bear raid. When we go to the Thunder Rock, we have a 6 minute 30 timer as well. And then you will be the elite raid frame champions for the Thunder Rock. Hydra will be a 6 minutes 30 timer as well. We go across to the Direbear, and this will be also a 6 minute 30 timer for the final one at that time, I believe. And then our Necrogiant is a 8 minute timer. So you have 8 minutes to try and get this frame. One of the hardest, if not the hardest, elite raid frame to go for. Then we have an 8 minute timer again for the Magma Demon raid, and then finishing up on the Flame Dragon, and then you have the 8 minute timer. So if you're going for these, elite raid frames, remember you're going to try and complete the first purification of the normal raid first out of all the alliances, and by doing that, it's going to allow you to have that bit of an advantage. Because when you go into the event section here and we go into that Behemoth Hunter, this is how you can actually track your progress. So if we were going to go to the Direbear rankings, for example, TM, our alliance, killed at 6:38 UTC, meaning add 4 hours on, which would be 10:38 UTC, and that's when we can trigger that elite raid. So it gives you that 5 minute advantage timer on second place here to try and get a cheese first run and maybe have a reset before going up for a second attempt, right? On the elite raid, you can see we obviously claimed it, and because of that advantage of starting earlier, we've got the ability to obviously go for it. So it's a really cool thing you can do, and this is a really good way for you guys as well. If you're looking to check on who's actually claimed it, you can go on the first purifications and then the elite raids, and you can see which frames are still able to be grabbed, like the Hydra we just showcased there. So what I'm going to do now is go into some of the Behemoths. We're going to go one by one. I'm going to show a little bit of gameplay footage on top of the screen while we go over some of the stuff that are the main tips that you're going to need to look out for when we're going into the fights. So I hope you've enjoyed the video so far, and smash a like, comment and subscribe if you learned something today about Behemoths and about elite raids and how they work in a total. And then, like I said, we're going to go into the tips section, and then we've got a nice little round off where we're going to talk about how you can actually control a Behemoth if you're an R4 and you've got the Beastmaster title. So it's going to be a nice little full Behemoth video guide for you guys in one massive roundup. So the Giant Bear is the very first one you're going to ever fight in your arsenal of bears, or should we say Behemoths in this case. The Giant Bear is the baby bear that you're going to fight in the very first instance of any dungeon. It's going to give you basically a taster of what to come. So there's nothing too crazy in this, and you can see this on the gameplay footage here. But what is a very key thing to actually take into note in this raid is one of the main tips that you're going to use in the future for the Giant Direbear raid, which is a harder version of this raid, and that is to always make sure you dodge the charge. The charge allows you to get that 20% extra damage with your marches if you're a DPS march. And remember, when you're doing this in every phase, it adds an additional charge. So when you do fight this for the first time, you'll notice it'll charge once, but then when you go for the second time and you see him slam down, he's going to do a second charge after the first one. So this might be across the screen, and then he might come back around this way. It depends on whatever mood the bear is. So that is the Giant Bear. Nice, easy one to go through. And the big tip for any alliance when you're trying to be a very competitive one is if you're able to get all 40 members on time, to this event, because if you can get everyone to turn up to this event, you need to make sure you can keep that momentum for every other one, and that will give you the best chances at completing the raid first, as well as giving you the best chance of potentially stealing that elite raid frame. So with the Giant now, you have a different bit of an arena. So you can see on the screen, we're going to have a little bit of the gameplay side of it. But the arena is split into a triangle formation. So you have one at the very top here, then you got one there and another one there, right? You can see right where my camera is, there's one pit, a second pit, and a third pit. And this is something you got to take in consideration when you fight the Giant. This is the first tiny bit of teamwork and mechanics the game throws at you, because during this raid the Giant will do a phase change, and during that phase change it will summon a troll or rock golem guy at one of these pits, and then each phase it's going to increase, and that be 2, and then there might be 3, and this will continue until you kill the Giant. So remember this when you're going into the Giant fight, you're going to need to always kill these guys before you can then DPS the Giant, because if you don't kill him, the Giant will stay invulnerable and it'll be a very big pain in the ass. So as you can notice in the little gameplay footage, there's a little bit of the abilities there, and hopefully you can see on showcase too the different amounts of units being used, as well as the different spawn locations that can happen when you are fighting your Giant. So we're at the Thunder Rock now, and this will be your third either Behemoth that you're going to fight in your Season 1 or Season 1 Plus in your journey through the game. This is going to be actually the first actual test of your alliance knowledge. That is correct. So you're going to find out here right now in this first instance of a raid who's the slackers and who are actually following the mails and listening and following orders, because in the gameplay footage, as you'll see, there's a few mechanics that you're going to be wary of. The main one we're going to talk about is how one of you, or should I say 2 of your members of the alliance, will get a big red mark, and this red mark will apply above the head of your march. And what this does is, if you are in the game and you are in the water, so any of this area where my mouse is going around at the moment, if you're inside this water with that red mark and the bomb of the mark detonates, it's gonna basically wipe everyone. It's gonna kill everyone in the raid, and it's gonna cause you to reset and retry the whole raid again. The basic mechanics for this Thunder Rock is very simple. As you can see on the screen right now, the map is in a north, south, east, west kind of configuration, and the way it always does its phases, it will always block 2 of these zones. So as it's blocking 2 of these zones, you and your alliance members will work together to get the healing stones on the other 2 safe areas, and once you've done this and completed all 4 zones, the Thunder Rock will leave its phase, come down, and you can start DPSing again. So it's a really easy raid to do, and again, if you need more in-depth parts of this, all of these Behemoths I'm going through so far will have their pinned little guides above somewhere at the top during this video, so you can click on there and watch the full video gameplay of them when they are in action, and that'll be a full commentary too. But for this video guide, we're going to have the little, like you see, I hope you've enjoyed it so far, a little bit of annotation just to the left or right of me, and then we're going to move on. So that's the Thunder Rock, nice and easy. It's the first bit of teamwork that it's going to come and ask of you. So with that, let's move on to the next Behemoth. So now we are at the Hydra, and this, to me, is one of the hardest raids in the entire game. And this is even when you go to the Elite Raid level when we're talking about that. Because the Elite Raid Hydra is such a pain, and the big tip when you are doing this will be to keep an eye out for the acid rain barbs. It does rain these randomly during the fight compared to the normal raid when you are fighting him. The thing is that you're going to have to worry about as well is the little crevices. That's going to be displayed in the gameplay side to the right. So just make sure, if you're wondering what are the little bit of mechanics, you're going to see that there. Again, make sure you're doing all the crevices, heal when you need to heal, and then on top of that, the little red stones, if you are one of those guys that don't really want to do any of the mechanics and you're kind of a like passive player, if you're a big DPS whore, if you want to call it, and you're one of those guys, take the red stones, and the red stones give you a 20% damage bonus, and it's going to allow you to obviously kill that Hydra quicker. When you're in the elite raid, remember the timer is there for a reason, and this is one of the hardest ones to do. And the big tip when you are in the elite raid is if your match is going into that red zone or almost in the danger zone, so you can say like 30% of your match, what you're going to need to do is leave the zone, because if you don't leave the zone and you die, you're going to heal the Hydra up by 2%, and 2% doesn't sound like a lot, but that's almost equated to 15 to 20 seconds of the damage you've just dealt back, and it's just wasted time. So you can't die when you are in the elite Hydra. So I hope you've enjoyed that bit so far, and let's move on to the next one, which is the Direbear. So the Direbear is pretty much the same as the Giant Bear. We've gone over the Giant Bear, and the big tip, as we said, if you've not forgotten already, dodge that charge. If you can dodge the charge for the Direbear, it's going to be a major factor for you guys. But the key difference between the Direbear and the Giant Bear is, as you can notice in the gameplay footage, is it drops this purple mist, and this purple mist does deal damage over time to your march, meaning the longer in it, the more damage it's going to deal. So try and make sure you're out of it, otherwise it's going to absolutely wreck you. A good tip for you guys, if you are struggling with that purple mist and you want to try and juggle the almost the arena, you can use the taunts to obviously move that Direbear into one location, which is a really good tactic. Or you can also bring the Spirit Bangle. The Spirit Bangle is the mage artifact that will remove a debuff, but when you activate it, which is a really cool effect, it does a big AoE cleanse, and if you're in that purple when you activate that Spirit Bangle, is going to make that floor all normal, and it will get rid of all the purple things. So a really cool thing for you guys to do for your marches and for your alliance. They will be very thankful for you. So that is the Direbear. It should be nice and easy. You've done it already, you know, from the Giant Bear. Take what you've done from the Giant Bear, apply it to here with the Direbear with the additional little bit extra mechanics that you can see in the gameplay footage just to the right of the screen. So with that, let's move on to one of the harder ones and one of the intricate ones and scary ones, which is the Necrogiant. So the Necrogiant is what I would call, and it is the hardest raid in the game. It's the hardest raid in the game by a landslide here, boys. And the reason why is because it is honestly through and through, heart and heart, the most true raid in the game. If you've played World of Warcraft or any sort of MMO game and you've played a raid, this is what you expect a Behemoth raid to be like, and this is an amazing one. So in the gameplay footage, as you can see, there's going to be loads of different abilities that the Necrogiant can do. There's 4 different abilities you can look at. One of them is going to be a big like X, as you can see, and this X will spin around, and when it's spinning around, you want to make sure you're moving in the same direction. Nice and easy to do. One of the harder ones to dodge is the Wall of Death. It's going to summon a massive wall of things that will divide across the left or right of the screen, and it will shoot loads of these purple darts at you, and you're going to have to dodge through these almost like playing Fall Guys and get through to the end zone. Otherwise, they do massive damage to you. The second one, or should I say the third ability that they have, is these big portals, or the 4 dark orb portals. So in each of the corner of this arena that's going to be summoned, you're going to see 4 orbs that will appear, and then they'll start shooting out loads of different balls in different directions. And it's your job to dodge these left and right and try and not take any damage, because these balls do take massive amount of damage against you guys. Honestly, do not get slapped by the balls. So with the final one in the bag, we've got Dark Fire, and the Dark Fire one is a nice and simple one. It's when the entire floor becomes lava. It is the death zone, but 2 of your alliance members will get a massive AoE safe zone where all of your alliance members need to basically dart to, and you're in the safe area. Once you've done that, this is one of the best timings as well, and a big tip for you here is to try and heal during that Dark Fire stage, because everyone is forced together and it's a perfect time to get everyone all together, all to heal and get that full troop count back. So that is all the different mechanics, and the thing is, what you're going to need to notice, which you've been seeing in the gameplay footage that's been running side by side as I've been explaining this, is that the Necrogiant can summon any of these 4 abilities in any order. So you could get the same ability twice in a row. You could get a different run where you get one of each, you know, different ability. You could get one where you get 2 balls, then the spinny one back into another ball. It could be anything in this regard, but you will always get some sort of Dark Fire stage during this. This is one thing we've always noticed when we have been playing and watching all the Necrogiant raids in this instance. So when we come to the Elite raid, the big tip for you guys is to actually target the Giant. So here on screen, the Giant is actually not getting this debuff, and the debuff we're talking about is in the early stages. If you go back all the way to the Behemoth menu, you'll notice that we had a debuff that said if you are fighting the Necrogiant and the Necrogiant is invulnerable, you will start taking damage. So what you normally can do in this phase is keep moving left, and right, so your march isn't targeting anyone. Or the secret tip is to actually target the normal giant, the physical base giant, and by doing that you're gonna avoid that mechanic. And then obviously when the phase finishes, the Giant and Necrogiant switches spots, so you can retarget exactly where you're already fighting, and you can carry on dealing that DPS like you've been wanting to. So that's the Necrogiant. It's more impactful. I know it's a little bit longer than all the other Behemoths, but you can tell it is very needed because this is one of the most complicated raids in the game. So let's move on to the next one, which will be the Magma Demon. So we have the 4 Magma Demons here on screen, and you can try and do this a multiple of ways, and we have seen it being done a few different ways, but the most effective and the easiest way to do this, guys, is to rotate your damage around. So in the center of the screen that you're going to be seeing is the gameplay footage of this raid, and as you notice at the top sections in each of the corners here, we can see the different Behemoths that are just sitting idly. What you want to be doing is splitting up your alliance members in total into 4 different groups with their own 2 separate pairs of tanks. And what you do is with your group of say 15 DPS, you'll start DPSing down the Magma Demon, and then once your march reaches 2 to 3 stacks, which it gets applied, and you can see this being applied at the top right or the top left corner of your screen on the mobile phone or PC client that you're playing on. When that hits number 3, you're going to rotate either clockwise or counterclockwise depending on your alliance obviously system that you've set up. And once you rotate around, you'll carry on DPSing on that new Behemoth, and you can repeat this and rotate all the way around until all of them passively die, right? Because each time you kill one of these Magma Demons, it's going to increase the attack, health and defense of the other 3 remaining ones by 20%. So when you kill the next one, that's a 40% increase. The next one's, you know, 60. So you can see it gets harder and harder the more you kill. So it's better to try and get them down. So each of the 4 different Magma Demons are around 200k or less health, and then finish them all off in one blitz with all of the remaining members. So that's the Magma Demons, nice and easy. The second to last boss that you have to fight, and it has, to be honest, one of the coolest elite raid frames in my eyes into the final one. But now let's go into the dragon, and this is the flame dragon, and the final ever one that you're going to need to do for your race. So the Flame Dragon is the final one in Zone 3 that everyone fights over to try and get the rewards. Only one of you can claim this, remember, at the end of the season. And this is where you get the best rewards at the end into the new season. So as you can see with the gameplay footage, the Flame Dragon has a bunch of different abilities. The two that you need to be wary of is clearly the big purple AoE of death. This big purple AoE will cause all of the marchers inside to get either terrored or feared as a mechanic on that march, meaning you do not have any sort of control onto it. And because you don't have any control on it, your march will then start moving on its own. And that is a detriment, because normally once the fear mechanic has been applied, he will then do the big AoE 180 massive damage circle afterwards on all of those units. So generally, if you can, try and escape it, and if you do, you're going to be Gucci. Again, we're going to have the full gameplay in the very top, as well as in that moment you can see with the gameplay and some archer footage of hopefully me dodging all of these different types of mechanics for you guys and giving you some easy to understand mechanics for the Flame Dragon. It's nothing too crazy to do, in all honesty. The only other thing that you need to remember is when you're doing this raid that there is a phase change, and during that phase change the dragon will fly up, and when it flies up it's gonna have these two different lizard portals that will summon, as you can guess, two different dragon lizards, and you must kill these lizards first. And when you do, the Flame Dragon will descend, allowing you to deal the DPS needed to finish off and kill it. So that is all the behemoths covered. Nice, easy, quick snippets for each of them, with a little bit of gameplay guide in the bottom corner. And if you need a full in-depth guide for them, there is always that top stamp above that you can click during all of the segments, and you can watch the full in-depth guide for each of those raids. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. We're going to go into now how to control your behemoth with the behemoth controls as a Beastmaster, and then finish up with the final part of the video. So now we're going to be going over how to control a behemoth. It's a pretty simple thing. You need to have the Beastmaster title on the officer role. Once you have selected it, you can click summon on the behemoth tab, as you saw in the alliance menu, and then you need to select either a flag that you are going to be attacking, and in order to attack you must be touching the territory, as you can see right here, between our pass and the flag that's being contended in the early stages during the Road to Glory series, if you can remember. But once you click summon, your behemoth will be able to fight in the giant circle surrounding that flag. From here, you are able to control the behemoth exactly like a open field march, meaning you can click and drag this like a open field legion. You can retarget different marches, and a really good secret tip here for you guys looking to be a Beastmaster: any behemoth always has a charge up timer. So after 4 basic hits, it will use its ability, and you can use that ability and retarget different marches. So if we're looking at this bear in a moment, he will do 4 big slams, and once he's done his 4 slams, he will then do that charge, allowing you to potentially change targets on the charge and surprise someone that you was originally getting. So that is pretty much the entire that you're going to need to know about behemoths. We've gone through every single behemoth in the game currently for season 1, giving you that gameplay footage and that extra bit on the side. So let's move over to the last section, which is the ending of the video, since we've covered all the behemoths, the Beastmaster, as well as the elite raid and information needed to complete everything that is a behemoth or an elite behemoth raid. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I've covered hopefully everything you're going to need to know about behemoths, leveling them up through the elite raids, as well as each individual raid with a little bit of gameplay and tips for each of them, right? So with all that said, if you follow this guide, and hopefully you'll be like me, you'll be the Pokemon gym leader, you'll be the Pokemon Master League champion, if you want to say, and you're going to have every single badge being able to be used on your account and being able to flex this in the future seasons. Because one thing you guys got to remember when we're looking at these Elite Raid frames that you're going to be able to obtain, these are available during Season 1 and Season 1 Plus. But we have always been hinted that there's going to be a future new map, which would mean there might be some new Behemoths, meaning some of these frames might not be obtainable in the near future. So try your hardest to try and get them and get secured so you can flex on your account and showcase this legacy achievement for yourself. So if you've enjoyed today's video, smash a like, comment and subscribe. My name's MrSneakyy, an official Call of Dragons content creator, giving you all that guide and goodness every single day for Call of Dragons. So I'm hoping you've learned something today, and if you haven't, you know, smash a comment, say something nasty about me, I don't know, you know what you guys are like. So with all that said, stay safe, stay sneaky, and peace out until the next video.